Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Maputa Sibidi. Now, in our first story, the Ghana Health Service has admitted there's pressure on COVID-19 treatment facilities in the country. For weeks, the country has been experiencing a surge in cases attributed mainly to the spread of the Delta variant and a lack of adherence to the COVID-19 protocols. According to the Director General of the service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, though there is pressure because some patients are discharged when they recover, spaces are created for new persons.
Our treatment centers, yes, there's a lot of pressure on our treatment centers, no doubt about that. But as people get discharged, spaces are created, and that Ashanti initially was bad. It's a bit improved, and so it may be good today, may be bad tomorrow. But that's the more reason why we want to ensure that people don't catch the virus, and also, no matter what you do, if we don't protect ourselves, all our beds will be full and we'll not even have enough health workers to manage them, because the health workers will also go home because they are exposed.
Explained that the rate of positivity in schools in the country has been declining and that more than 95% of infected students have recovered.
When it comes to the schools, so far, a total of 453 schools have recorded cases of COVID-19, with a cumulative total number of students who have reported positive is 3,113. 95.6% have recovered. We still have about 136 active cases. The last time we were here, we had about 504 active cases. So that outbreak in the schools seems to be under some control. I'm sure the protocols and things have been, the schools have started adhering to the protocol. But we have 49 cases still in Ashanti. OT has 40, Volta has 21, Bono East has 10 cases, Greater Accra incidentally had only 6 active cases. Western 4 have 3, and Eastern region has 3 active cases of school children who have been lost. So far, we've not had any mortality apart from the one we reported, who was a sickler and also had that. Volta region has recorded the highest number of cases, especially in schools, but systems have been put in place. Teams have been sent there. Teams will be sent there next week as we're going to go and see how we can support the region in its response. Northeast has still not reported any case in their schools.
More than a year after government promised hospitals for districts without one, construction works on the project dubbed Agenda 111 is set to commence. Government says work on the ambitious Agenda 111 will commence on Tuesday when President Akufo-Addo inspects work on a district hospital in the Ashanti region. The project announced in April last year by President Akufo-Addo will see the construction of 101 district, 6 regional and 2 new psychiatric hospitals. According to Information Minister Kwadwo Nkrumah, government has so far secured 88 different parcels of land for the project to take off.
101 district hospitals will commence on Tuesday, the 17th of August, 2021. The project will also see to the provision of 2 specialized hospitals, one for the Middle Belt, one for the Northern Belt of the country. These are psychiatric hospitals. And then a redevelopment of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. There will also be the development of 6 new regional hospitals and 1 extra regional hospital for the Western region. The District Hospitals project, as you recall, was first announced in April 2020 by President Akufo-Addo during his 8th COVID update to the nation. And it is programmed to take between 12 months to complete each one from the point of commencement. Now, since its announcement, the Project Implementation Committee, chaired by Chief of Staff, Madam Akosua Frema-Osei-Opare, has been delivering a number of objectives. 1, to secure the physical location of 101 sites. Currently, they have secured 88 of those 101 sites. not just securing the physical location, but also securing title to the parcels of land, 88 out of 101 so far. And each of these parcels is about 15 acres to be able to do the kind of facility based on the architectural drawings that they are putting up. They've also been procuring the services of consultants. You know, for all of these projects, they are what you call project consultants.
Mr. Nkrumah also explained that government is advancing $100 million for the project to commence. According to the Information Minister, each of the 101 district hospitals they expect to build will cost approximately $17 million. He's also confident the construction will create jobs and boost local economies.
They've also been working to secure funding for it. Currently, commencement funding of $100 million has been made available to the project through the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. For the projects themselves, it's budgeted at nearly $17 million for each of the district hospitals. The district and specialized hospitals are being funded by the government of Ghana, but for the regional hospitals, EPC arrangements have been made that come with their own funding associated with it. Contractors for the various projects have also been procured and are commencing work, with the first set starting from this week. Preference was given to local contractors and local labor, because it will also be the demonstration of what we call Ghanaian excellence. That will, among other things, showcase what the Ghanaian construction and engineering community is also capable of doing. The project is expected to deepen healthcare delivery at all district levels and ensure that the Ghanaian can access high-quality healthcare at all district levels. It will also provide thousands of jobs for the healthcare staff who are going to be recruited and posted to these 111 facilities across the country: district hospitals, specialized hospitals, regional hospitals. It will also provide jobs for the ancillary workers, beyond the healthcare workers themselves. In every one of these facilities, you have ancillary workers who provide services that support the core healthcare exercise that is going on there. And then there's also critical housing that is being provided attached to these hospitals.
Let's go to the Upper West region, where the regional minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh, is asking for help to aid the region's recovery from last Thursday's flood. Hundreds of commuters and vehicles were left stranded as a result of the heavy downpour that washed away several bridges in the region. Though the extent of the damage is yet to be known 4 days after it occurred, Dr. bin Saleh assures that government will do everything within its power to fix the roads that have been cut off as a result of the torrential rain.
It's been 4 days since the torrential rains in the region, and still this is happening. On what used to be their streets, commuters now walk, some barefooted, carrying all personal effects to cross through the receding waters from one end to the other. More and more people are not willing to risk through the water, though it is receding.
Wait small and see, maybe by 3 we'll leave.
I mean, when you go back to her, when will you be able to go? Because the road is cut.
We'll wait if they do something about it. If not, we are in trouble. You see, the other side they can't cross, which we can't cross.
Yesterday we are about to come, and they said that the place is there, the road is no good. So we just waited till today that we know that the place will be fixed. So we don't know that this place too has just also spread like that. So we can't go. We have to take another vehicle that can take us to it. So I would like to tell the government that they should help us. It's not all of us that are here. Something we are about to come. So
Flash floods destroyed major roads and cut some parts of the region from its regional capital. Farms and economic trees were also not spared. The scale of the flooding here is immense. The landscape of one of Ghana's poorest regions perhaps changed forever. It has slowed down economic and social activities in the region, and the consequences dire. It is an epic crisis that has never been witnessed by the people, and the region's chief executive, Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh, in the company of RECSEC members, came to see things for themselves and to offer the support of the government.
What has happened is really going to affect the economy and even the social life of the people of the Upper West region. We all need to brace ourselves for the difficulty that we are in now, because a lot of people will be inconvenienced, particularly those of us who trek often. We're going to be affected. So we need to brace ourselves for the difficulties that we are in for now. But like I indicated, we are going to approach this issue headlong. The police would need to up their game. Vehicles that are applying this route, they need to place people at the center, that is why, so that they direct them as to where to pass, so that they don't come here and then get stuck.
The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, though on hand to support the affected victims and communities, are not able to do that for now. At this stage, they cannot even begin the recovery. They are here for sightseeing.
We could hear from the engineers still telling us the other alternative routes to pass to the communities. So it will be very difficult as of now to tell the number of people that are displaced and the number of farmlands that has been washed away by the flood. So unless we wait for the engineers to come up with the alternative routes, for myself and my team to come in and see what is that we can support the community or the affected individuals as of now.
The major worry for now is the threat of the alternative routes also caving in and cutting off more communities so the region has more rains as forecasted by the Meteorological Agency. Some of the grounds are already saturated with water and the rivers and lakes swollen, a sign of perhaps more disaster in the making. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Goroyiri.
All right, good morning once again. You're welcome to the AM show with Nimeze.
Nimeze, yes.
Right, we're getting into the newspapers right away. So I'll start, anyone?
Oh,
the
God.
Daily Graphic.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Yeah. The record is 11 minutes. It's 6:35, so yeah, go for it.
But I did better the last time.
Yeah, okay, Israel. But today's Daily Graphic is quite thick, and it's a Monday morning, so there's a lot of stuff,
So there's a graphic exclusive, says effective police administration, new region created. And I'll just go straight into it. So the police administration has created a new administrative region, the first since 1966, as part of efforts to ensure effective and efficient policing across the country. The new region carved out of its existing Central Regional Command has been named Central East Command. And I'm beginning to have an idea why. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Okufundampare, has appointed Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Kwejo Otri Wapia, as the new Central East Regional Command, Police Command. I'm actually thinking that this has to do with Kaswa, because, anyway, let's trying to get into it. Yeah. So the new police administrative region covers Kaswa and Otreko, which were under the then Kaswa and Dominati police districts, and will now constitute 2 police divisional commands and 10 police district commands. It makes sense, actually, because there's been a lot happening in Kaswa, and it's become really difficult for the police to, contain the situation there and police the area. So yeah, I think it makes sense. So Accra Bible in the offing to give impetus to Let's Make Accra Work initiative. Agenda 111 project takes off tomorrow. And then 177,000 people to get Johnson & Johnson jab. Okay, so that's in the Daily Graphic. Maybe what we could do is I read a bit of the Daily Graphic, and then you can take the Ghanaian Times, and you can come back to me.
Do the Daily Graphic.
So
we'll still calculate your cumulative time, because I think you really just want to take your time and do like 15 minutes. But yes, okay, I'll move on to the Ghanaian Times. Like Israel said, front page, boost for health sector, all set for Agenda 111. Government to launch commencement of 111 district regional specialized hospitals Tuesday. A Denton court slaps driver with 2,400 cedi fine for knocking down a 74-year-old woman. 24-hour torrential rain causes havoc in the Upper West region. Roads have been washed away, properties destroyed, and many rendered homeless. Auditor General's report, SNITS recovers $4 million from $11 million lost through liquidation of 3 companies. An outbreak of Marburg virus in Guinea. The Ghana Health Service puts health facilities on high alert. And also, page 3, 2 MPs involved in 2 separate accidents at the weekend. And talking about accidents, remember, we'll be bringing you a conversation about Crashed Young, Seth Kwame Boateng's and JoyNews' documentary on road accidents, but this time how it affects the children. So Ivory Coast has detected its first Ebola case in 25 years. They say that when your neighbor's house is burning, you fetch a bucket of water. It was like yesterday morning. You know, Angel TV burnt yesterday.
Oh, no, I missed
it. There was a fire in the afternoon, and I was looking out of the window and we saw, you know, all this smoke, because on the same road, all this smoke coming out, and the fire service, you know, rushing there with. I'm not too sure if they are, but fire service rushing there, you know, with water and all of that. So anyways, when will annual ravaging market fires stop? That's the question that the Ghanaian Times is asking this morning. India pays tribute to the world for support during COVID-19 Delta variant third wave. Now, yesterday, India paid glowing tribute to the world for standing by it when the country was hit with the third wave of the Delta variant of COVID. Quote unquote, Mr. Sugand Rajam said, "In our time of desperate need, you provided us with emergency medical supplies, including oxygen, to save the lives of Indians who were dying." And so praying for India, hoping that they get better. You know, my mom is Indian, right?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, so when we're talking about India, it's a little bit teeny weeny little bit close to home. Anyway, let's move on. Middle page, all set for Agenda 111.
Is that why you get your beauty?
150,000. Thank you for saying I'm beautiful indirectly. 150,000.
Talk about it.
Echo, please come and take this man away from here. 150,400 expected to take the COVID-19 jab as vaccination takes off in 11 district hotspots. The graphic says 170 something, right?
170,000, yes.
Okay, this one says 150,000, so I don't know.
Okay, what exactly is it? 150,000?
400 are expected to take the Johnson & Johnson single-shot vaccines by the end of the vaccination exercise.
The graphic says 170,000.
Okay, anyway. All right, Zoom Lion disinfects Ankerfold prisons complex. Also, the University of Cape Coast has opened admissions, so if yesterday you went to church and God was talking to you about going to school again, I'm just letting you know that the advertisement is in the newspaper, which presumably means that most of the universities are taking, which is funny because the teachers are on strike. It's just, yeah. Anyways, that's about it. Let me see if there's anything interesting. Muhammad Ali's grandson secures first pro win. He's called Nico Ali Walsh, paid tribute to his grandfather as he won his debut professional bout. Wearing a pair of shorts his grandfather had given him. 21 years old, middleweight, and he fought in Oklahoma. Interesting. German football legend Muller has died. And on the back page, Volta Regional Health officials are worried over COVID-19 spread in the region. According to Dr. Senanu Jokoto, the Deputy Director of Health in charge of public health in the Volta region, he says the COVID-19 situation is now unacceptable. He revealed in an interview in Ho that on Friday, there were 900 cases of the virus that had been recorded in the past 4 weeks. Currently, they have 270 active cases. So he's asking that traditional authorities, churches, schools, transport unions actively take part in the crusade to modify the attitude of the majority of people in the region to embrace the safety COVID-19 protocols. So if you live in the Volta region and you're watching us, so you're listening to us, Please be safe. Your numbers are going up. That's it for the Ghanaian Times. Back to the Daily Graphic.
All right, so back to the Daily Graphic, and one of the stories that caught my attention, Afghan President Ghani flees as Taliban surrounds
Kabul. Yeah.
It's been a worrying situation, and for the president to leave, I'm like, oh man, I mean, why? If the president leaves, then it means there's all hope is lost. And the death toll in Haiti's earthquake rises to over 700. Now, that's quite tragic because Haiti not too long ago had to deal with another earthquake. Koku Amidu, who calls for reforms in NDC. So there's that story in there. And then lifestyle of politicians, spare workers agitation. That's Professor Stephen Adai. As a former board chairman of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Professor Stephen Adai has said that the lifestyle of the executive and members of parliament is partly to blame for the decision of public sector workers to reject the base pay for 2021 and 2022, while stressing that the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic does not support salary increment. He noted that the government had also failed to communicate the gravity of the country's economic situation to the people. I perfectly agree with him. All right, so of the story about the Johnson & Johnson jabs, 177,000 people to get Johnson & Johnson jab. It features Dr. Kwame Amponsa Chiano, manager of the expanded program on immunization. And let me quickly go to, all right, so there's an opinion piece, top 9 misrepresentations about moves to increase offshore oil blocks. You can get to read that. And Gamashi marks Homowo in unity. That's on page 3249. And 116 civil servants, others honored at Civil Service Awards. I'm trying to spend much less time. Okay, let me just go to the back page. Massive investment needed, regional minister, that's torrential rains hit Upper West. So that's a story we've been carrying on JoyNews all weekend. But that's it. I'm done with the Daily Graphic.
Okay.
How many minutes?
I think maybe about 3.5 or 4 and all, so well done.
I'm that good.
Okay, Israel. Let's go to the Daily Guide now. 12.8 billion Ghana cedis lost to MDA's Chop Chop. Agenda 111 hospitals take off. Serial killer caged. Galamsey getting back on and Cobra. Now, that's unfortunate. Police have arrested 6 over weapons in Kandija. And then some international stories. Afghanistan president quits Taliban takeover. That's on page 5 of the Daily Guide. More than 300 dead after magnitude 7.2 earthquake strikes Haiti. Nearly 2 million told to shelter amid Japan rain. So about 2 million people have been urged to evacuate their homes amid heavy rainfall in parts of Japan. And 1 woman has died. Her husband and daughter are missing after a landslide destroyed 2 homes in Nagasaki Prefecture. There's a lot of things going on in different countries. Rains, floods, earthquakes, fires. In addition to the COVID, yeah. So tough times for everyone, and we send our prayers out. Serial killer caged. You remember that story from last week?
Yeah.
The man who, he killed his wife, and then there was a story about his girlfriend a few years ago. Chibi doctors get bungalows. NDC failed to pay for chairs supplied to Shudim SHS. And middle page of the Daily Guide, some entertainment news. Even Ghana with cocoa and gold solicit for funds. That's choir master defending his wife, Beverly Afaglo. Nana McBrown flaunts luxurious cars at 44. So yeah, she turned 44 yesterday and put out a photo shoot. It's quite an interesting photo shoot anyways.
Yep.
Halle Berry says she broke 2 ribs while filming new movie Bruce. And Sewa Amehia speaks on gossip rumors. She's been trending on everywhere really for the past few days. Okay, other stories. Ghana Health Service presses Marburg virus alert. St. Charles Seminary records 4th fire outbreak. Gosh, there's a lot happening. Let's see what else we have. Ghana DJ Awards 2021 is slated for November 27th MOG speaks on his collaboration with Sarkodie. And Ohima Yunus grabs GMA UK nomination. Some sports on the back page. Top coaches show hearts coach laugh. Okay, top Ghanaian coaches, including Ibrahim Tanko and Michael Asay, were in Kumasi on Saturday to rally support for Heart of Oak head trainer Samuel Bredu on his wedding ceremony. I see. Well, congratulations to you, Samuel. Messi and Ramos watch as PSG down Strasbourg, GBFA Sumogosh Ghana strike deal, and Cole preaches the Lukaku effect. That's it for the Daily Guide. What you got, Israel?
All right, so I'm going to the Finder now, and on the front page, new jobbing, South MC, 2 drivers' unions in a tussle over lorry station, and 95 million cedis Assembly's Common Fund cash used to build private entity. That's the Auditor General. And then, while reporting 24.3% system losses in 2018, ECG paid 182.5 million CD capacity charges to Senate Energy, which supplied power for only 2 months. Wow. So yes, and then Ghana heightens border surveillance over Marburg and Ebola virus. So we have that on in the Finder, and yeah, pretty much that's it. That's it for me for the daily. Oh, okay. There's one more. Ghana, the management of the Ghana Airports Company Limited has outlined a 6-month roadmap aimed at addressing all statutory and welfare deductions of staff of the company that have in recent times been the source of agitations against the airports operator. So GACL rolls out 6-month roadmap to settle staff arrears.
Interesting. All right. Let's do since Israel has decided not to talk a lot this morning, let's do the Business and Financial Times, shall we? Momo is now bigger than all payment platforms combined. Value of transactions hit 89 billion Ghana cedis, whilst the others stand at 26 billion. So that's
massive.
Yeah, that's some good business. Some really good business there. Okay. Fidelity Bank launches Banking Academy. Singapore is shaping the future of mobility. Okay. Pay cocoa farmers promptly to avert agitation. $8 billion spent on rice imports in 10 years. Local production still wobbles around 30%. And government plans to achieve self-sufficiency in 2023. So in 2 years? Okay. All right, people. Let me see if I can find a few interesting stories for you. As pressure mounts, TUC deflects blame for low 4%. Adopt homegrown program to address unsustainable debt dependency. That's according to former Minister of Finance, said there. KNUST and Legon students are expressing worry about the indefinite suspension of semester exams. So we'll be talking more about that a little later on in the show. Investing in your human capital. Oh, interesting. A dwarf standing on the shoulders of a giant may see further than the giant himself. That's a quote by Robert Burton on page 13 of the Business and Financial Times. Online betting is a growing industry to watch in our digital space. Yeah, online betting seems to be a thing these days. Let's see. Let me just do the back page. ADB posts 400% profit growth amidst pandemic. Oh, good for them. And second batch of Amenfiman staff development program graduate. I think that's about it, Israel, yeah. Okay, let me do this one. 4th Ghana Business Leaders Excellence Awards held. Dr. Daniel Macaulay is Best Ghanaian Business Leader. Okay, that's interesting.
Congratulations.
Page 34 if you want the details of all the winners. And that's it for me with the Business and Financial Times.
Okay, so to the Daily Statesman, Bono East Region to get a new university. Double salary scandal at Ghana Standards Authority. Former Executive Director to cough out 342,068 Ghana cedis. Agenda 111 hospital projects begins tomorrow. Ghana Health Service cautions against new deadly Marburg virus. And we go to, well, on page 3, Bono East Region to get a new university. And then I'll go to 454 $4.15 million retrieved from loss through liquidations. So SNIT. So there's been this story about SNIT losing so much money through some investments that they made, and the companies were liquidated. So SNIT is now replying and saying that $4.15 million has been recovered from the $11.794 million indicated in the Auditor General's report as loss through the liquidation of 3 companies. And SHS students in court for attacking a teacher. And then Chief bans Okada over alarming cases of pedestrian knockdowns, which feeds very much into the story where the conversation we're going to have in this morning about crashed young. So yeah, pretty much that's it for the Daily Statesman. Now, I think we can do the, okay, you have the dispatch.
My last paper, just the headlines, I promise. The Daily Dispatch, front page, NDC's electoral reforms. NPP won in 2000 and 2016 when EC chair was appointed by NDC. That's according to the NPP. Read about the dental signs of kidney disease. Okay. As Ghana awaits results of 2021 census, find out population details in Greater Accra, Ashanti, and Volta. And on the back page on NDC's electoral reforms, NPP, okay, that story about when the AC chair was appointed on the back page of the Daily Dispatch. Okay, Israel.
All right, so I want us to do the news review and go on to my Joy Online and also bring you the latest episode from former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu. But let's get on to the my Joy Online website and see the stories that are there. Moving story of how a destitute kid was rescued with his mentally challenged mother after JoyNews report. So we'll have that conversation here on the AM show. So do stay tuned in.
Okay, other stories, 7 things we learned on Newsfile. Ajiman Menu Ken Oforiatta could be in jail for 5 years. The deadly overtaking involving a Hyundai Accent and VIP bus at Chwasu that claimed 2 lives. We need conscious effort to ensure road safety, according to researcher. Saglami housing scandal, we could have solved this issue with $32 million some 5 years ago. That's according to Harry Yamson, former boss of KIA VVIP Lounge. Took facilities furniture without permission. That's according to the Auditor General's report. And 3-month grace period for tenants to vacate rented place is not in our laws. That's according to Rent Control PRO, who was here with us on Thursday. Bank of Ghana was right in not sending banking directives to Parliament. That's according to the Supreme Court. And nightlife activities fast spreading COVID-19 in the eastern region. That's according to Minister, who expressed his concern. So that's my Joy Online there. But like Israel was saying, we have the statement from Martin Amidu.
Yes. So yeah, we have the statement from Martin Amidu, his very latest epistle. It came not too long ago, and we'll read you just a bit of it. So the title is, "Do not be like Thomas, whose eyes could not see Akufo-Addo's Sputnik V, Ejapa, and Other Affairs," by Martin ABK Amidu. And just to give you a bit of context now, Martin Amidu, he's been pursuing this citizen vigilantism for a long time. I mean, so long. He did it so well that it was one of the reasons that President Akufo-Addo thought that he was best placed to be a special prosecutor. So, well, he became special prosecutor. He resigned from the job, but he hasn't stopped his citizen vigilantism. He's still continuing. So he says, "From my experience working with President Akufo-Addo, I can bet my last purse whether the report of the ad hoc parliamentary committee on the Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine procurement was just a smokescreen behind which to exonerate and whitewash all the suspected unconstitutionalities and illegalities committed by the government in the procurement contract and payment for the vaccines. Ghanaians must be hallucinating to think that the Minister of Health, whom I have known since our Commonwealth days in the 1970s, would have had the temerity to have executed the Sputnik COVID-19 procurement contract without executive approval by the mother of the government." The President's Bruno Reging pronouncement on 10th August 2021 constitutes evidence of his interference with the investigatory and adjudicatory processes pending before a supposedly independent and coordinate arm of government, the legislature, before which the suspected Sputnik V corruption affair is currently pending for a decision on the findings and recommendations of the ad hoc parliamentary committee. Anima, would you want to continue?
I don't know if you want us to do this, you know, the whole thing, because it really does say a lot. Okay, well, I'm continuing from where Israel left off. When I stated the president's interference with the independent performance of the functions of the special prosecutor in investigations and prosecution of suspected corruption and corruption-related matters affecting the government and its appointees as the main reason for my resignation, doubting Thomases, as usual, had no eyes to see nor hear and questioned my judgment. After my resignation, the whole world witnessed how the Anti-Corruption Auditor General, Mr. Daniel Domlevo, was hounded out of office on flimsy grounds for daring to endorse and approve audit findings made by his staff against members of the family. In President Akufo-Addo's government's desperation for vengeance, the IOCO hauled in the Auditor General for alleged procurement malpractices involving the absence of Public Procurement Authority approval in a case in which the Auditor General was clearly not involved in the procurement process or any of the breaches thereof. The revenge exacted by the President on Mr. Domlevo as an Auditor General exercising the independent constitutional function assigned to his office under the Constitution as the Auditor General was a clear interference in the performance of the functions of the Auditor General by the President from making audit findings against members of the family, and yet the doubting Thomases could not see again nor hear.
What makes Daniel Domlevo's government's manufactured procurement suspected breaches warranting IOCO harassment different from the government's own breaches of the Public Procurement Act and Article 1815 of the Constitution in the Sputnik V COVID-19 procurement contract as an international business or economic transaction? When did a thief or armed robber who steals or robs another cease to be a thief or an armed robber simply by returning part of the stolen or robbed property to the owner? That's the alleged refund of the sum of 2.47 million out of the initial unlawful part payment by cousin co-president and Minister of Finance of a sum of 2.85 million, render constitutional and legal the initial payment, including the 20,000 doses of the Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccines delivered by Sheikh Ahmed Al Maktoum, representing $380,000 of the unconstitutional international business and economic procurement transaction.
Okay, resolution of the Sputnik V COVID-19 Al Maktoum void contract. And this, of course, is Martin Amidu, if you've just joined us. I have since January 2021 followed the genesis of the Russian Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccine arrangements between the Russian Direct Investment Fund and the Orogolf Health Investments, an Abu Dhabi-based company established late last year with close connections to Sheikh Ahmed Dalmouk Al Maktoum, a low-ranking Dubai royal, acting as the chief deal maker leading to the suspicious deal with the government of Ghana in the purported procurement of Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccines at inflated prices from the Ghanaian public purse that culminated in the constitution by Parliament of a 9-member ad hoc bipartisan committee of Parliament to investigate the matter. Sheikh Ahmed Dalmouk Al Maktoum of Ameri Group LLC fame under the National Democratic Congress and the NPP governments, and the controversy surrounding the shortchanging of the Ghanaian public purse by public officers for private gain in the power generation sector is well documented to need reminders. See, for instance, a summation in Timeline, how Mohammed's Ameri deal claimed an Akufo-Addo minister. That's published on my Joy Online, 7th August 2018.
All right, and then the Parliamentary Bipartisan Ad hoc Committee. But Sheikh Ahmed Al Maktoum's involvement in gaining the Sputnik V COVID-19 international business or economic transactions procurement contract after the Ameri Group Energy debacles that smeared both the NDC and the NPP governments creates a context for appreciating the true nature of the alleged parliamentary engineered bipartisan resolution of the suspected Sputnik corruption and corruption-related affairs by a parliament dominated by the same political parties of known greedy financial affinity with the sheikh. And it came to pass that the resolution on the findings and recommendations on the alleged parliamentary bipartisan ad hoc committee report, as I expected, was adjourned sine with the earliest time it could ever be reachable for a plenary decision being October 2021. Any person who has carefully studied how systems of Western-style parliaments and so-called democracies take we the people for the rabble until election time would understand the underpinnings of the parliamentary action apparently purposefully reserved for the last day of its session on Friday, 6 August 2021, postponed the day of reckoning with the appearance of disagreement from the two sides in Parliament who were previously associated with the scandalous American Group power transactions. And the rabble will forget the momentum and seriousness of the constitutional infractions involved in the Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccines constitutionally void procurement contracts. Now, it continues. There's quite a bit, but we can't bring you all of it, so we're just sharing with you just this wee bit. But there's going to be more, and indeed, it's going to be published on my Joy Online pretty shortly. So do stay tuned in. We have that. You can expect that to appear on the website, my Joy Online. Yeah. So do stay tuned in. But we're still here on the AM show. We're going to be taking a break.
Yes.
And then we'll bring you
some sports.
Some sports.
Yes.
And then later on, we still have the conversation with Opambo, Ebenezer Opambo, not the pastor.
Not the reverend. Yeah, I was just going to say. Yeah.
And yes, so do stay tuned.
Do stay tuned. And before we take that break, a happy 10th birthday to Irabna Nyanka of Our Lady of the Holy Cross in Kaswa. This is from your daddy, your mommy, papa, and nana. The message is, we love you dearly. And it's also from your dad, Fred Nyanka Piero, at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. If today's your birthday, have an absolutely wonderful one, and blessings, blessings, blessings. Don't go anywhere. Still the AM show.
He left the shores of the country unknown to many and returned 3 weeks later as a hero, as there was pomp and pageantry at the Kotoko International Airport to welcome Ghana's only bronze medalist at the Tokyo Olympic Games, Stamol Techi. CK Akuno has named a squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers against Ethiopia and South Africa. He's been offering explanation as to his choice of players who are representing the country in these two matches. And also, we'll take a look at the highlights in the English Premier League, where Manchester City struggled in their title defense after losing to Tottenham Hotspur, whilst Manchester United and Chelsea all jumped to 3 points at the early stage of the Premier League campaign. Welcome to AM Sports with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. Let's start with CK Akuno's decision to invite 30 players, and the squad will later be dropped to 25 players. He was questioned why he selected these specific players, and he's been offering explanation.
Sometimes maybe you might not understand. Somebody like Banier, you will see him as a striker. Banier can play a whole lot of positions, and so I don't play them out of position. Banier can be a midfielder, number 8. He could be a 10, a second striker, which he's doing with Hearts of Oak, and so it depends on how you see it. Listen, we played Qatar, we scored 5 goals with the same squad of players, okay? It's the way we play sometimes, how the opponents will approach the game. But we will score goals, trust me, we will score goals, and we will try to be creative, and that is what we're looking forward to. Those who are not here, especially, you talk of the local players, they're not here because they're not good. But at this point of time, these are the players I want to go with. And of course, with the AFCON, I expect nothing. Anything that comes, we should be able to deal with it. And so we'll be ready for any other group that will come across.
But did you have an opportunity of seeing what the boss did to the contestants on the boss game show? The boss over the weekend was Gary Alf's mate, and all contestants that came up against him could not compete. He ended up going home with his money. I'll leave you with the highlights of what transpired over the weekend.
Michael, by day, Say fire by night. Or say 650 Ghana.
650 Ghana.
Each of them?
For all of them.
But why? Let me ask. Why 650 Ghana?
That's my offer.
Mobefa? Now, well, I mean, as they think about it, I'm wondering 650 Ghana out of 6,000. What? They're in a conference.
I'm saying your individual interest.
More individual interest.
Yes. Maybe ready to face him.
You are ready to face him?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Sir.
History man.
History man. Uh-huh.
I'm not ready.
You're not ready? Oh, and you're bonnet, what kind of credit? You want to take the 650 and go?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. What about you?
Let me ask. So if I decide to take the offer and go, how much is he offering me?
They brought you another question. Now you said
a counter offer as well.
Yes. So
yeah,
one person has accepted.
Yeah.
The other two, one other says no.
He's going to face me.
And one wants to know what you have for him.
Well, I mean, since History Man is accepting the offer, I will give him the, 600, and then offer you 600 as well.
Ah.
Since the gentleman wants to face me, I want him to face me.
Okay, so we're clear. 600 Ghana for Sir Michael Fire. 600 Ghana for History Man.
No, I was so clear because Minisabia like 615 what they ma as a group. No.
But no there, so no kitis cano. Meet me, or no say, or man of 600. So they also want to know back.
Then I'll take the 600.
Ladies and gentlemen, bear with us. This is interesting. Us offered 650, right?
Yes, for the group.
For the group. And they had a long conference. They've come back and Gareth Bale says no. He wants to take on the boss. But the question was, okay, History Man, 600, right?
Yeah.
And Sir Michael Fire, 600 was the offer. They've accepted. Now, Gareth Bale is having a change of mind. Can he change his mind?
Gareth Bale, I want you to face me.
I'll come back the next time and face you.
We're bringing you Crashed Young, the documentary. The documentary actually will premiere this evening, but then we're going to have the conversation about it. We're going to be joined by Dr. John Adabi Apia, and also he's the president of the Pediatric Society of Ghana. And then we also have Superintendent Alex Obeng, he's the Public Affairs Directorate to the Ghana Police Service. And Seth Kwame Watting, the producer, will also be joining us. So that conversation comes up in a bit. Also, we're bringing you the conversation with Ebenezer.
Ebenezer, yes. So Ebenezer Opambo is a little boy who last week Manuel spoke to when he went out to do the Clean Ghana campaign. So he has been sleeping under the bridge for a very long time with his mother, who is mentally ill. We talked about it. Luckily, he's been taken off the streets. His mother has been taken to the Accra Psychiatric Hospital. But this morning, we wanted to get into his story, find out how they got where they are, what the plans are, and what we can do to support or help in some way. And not just him, but also the young people who are on the streets, and also what happens to children when their parents are mentally ill and on the street. It also brings that conversation to bear. After that, we will be talking, we're staying with young people this morning. We'll be talking about the strike. You know that University Teachers Association of Ghana have been on a strike since August 2nd. They haven't been teaching. Exams have been postponed indefinitely. And our children who are in the universities really don't know what's happening with their exams when they're vacating, whether there's lectures. So we'll have that conversation this morning. I'm sure if you're a parent and you're listening, you're also wondering what decision you can make to support your kids, whether to bring them home or whether they should stay on campus. And so we will hopefully have some clarity by the end of that conversation so that we can make decisions about our children moving forward.
And then this morning, we've also been talking about Martin Amidu's latest epistle, the former special prosecutor, citizen vigilante Martin Amidu. He's released an epistle on the Sputnik V vaccine. It's quite young and it's quite long actually, and we're still digesting it. But I just share with you the conclusion of that epistle, which goes like the fight against corruption.
No, Israel, you have to read it with drama. I'm just saying. So, okay, Israel, conclusion, away bus.
Okay, so you want to...
No, you do it.
You want a drum roll?
Yeah, do it, but with drama.
So it goes, the fight against corruption and greed generally has become an empty and instrumental clarion call for the two major political parties in Ghana for conning we the people to exhibit our genuine dislike and disdain for corruption and corrupt politicians by voting at the next polls to change the incumbent government to enable any of the two rivals in opposition for the time being to also have a bite at the corruption chair as government. It happened at the 2000 elections, it happened at the 2008 elections, it happened again at the 2016 elections, and they look forward to conning we the people again at the 2024 elections. This is therefore the time for all patriotic Ghanaians to wake up and with open eyes cease to be like Thomas, whose eyes could not see at this crucial moment of our dear nation's history that requires each of us to sacrifice to defend the 1992 Constitution and put Ghana first.
So
I'll take this last bit again, because I think there's something missing.
Okay.
There's an it missing, I'll put it there. This is therefore the time for all patriotic Ghanaians to wake up and with open eyes cease to be like Thomas, whose eyes could not see at this crucial moment of our dear nation's history, that it requires each of us to sacrifice to defend the 1992 Constitution and put Ghana first. Martin ABK
Amidu. I feel like we should play the national anthem or something. But yes, interesting. It's actually 5 pages. We've just done about 2.5, some at the beginning, some at the end. So if you go to myjoyonline.com, you should be able to find the document that you can have a read. Of course, Mr. Amidu's views are always very interesting, even though, the English, it's a bit difficult. Every time I'm reading his things, I have to have like my tablet or a dictionary because there's some sort of word that will pop up or some sort of law term. This morning was sign die or something like that.
Maybe let me try and break it down. The conclusion. Essentially, he's saying that the fight against corruption and greed generally has become an empty and instrumental clarion call for the two major political parties in Ghana to con the people. So each time they say, we're fighting corruption, and then they con the people, and then people believe that, this party is going to do something about corruption. But it's only for them to find themselves in power. And enjoy the largesse, and after a while...
Enjoy the who?
The largesse.
The largesse. The dresses are coming from
largesse.
Oh, right, okay. It sounds like a beer or a whiskey or something.
Okay.
Israel is teaching us English this morning.
Stop being mischievous.
Okay, I'll stop.
All right. So, essentially that's the point he's making in it. And so he's saying it's about time that we stood up and got to realize that this is what they're doing to us. And, deal with both.
Shine your eye.
Yeah, shine your eye.
Basically,
Okay, so we're talking about Crashed Young. We're bringing you excerpts of the documentary. And then we're going to have that conversation with Seth Kwambatin, the producer, and Dr. John Adabi Apia, president of the Pediatric Society of Ghana. We'll also be speaking with Superintendent Alex Obeng as well. So do stay tuned, but let's watch the excerpts of...
And viewer discretion is advised. Some of the images are quite vivid.
This is Peter Mensah, a 10-year-old boy stuck in a wheelchair. He has suffered one of the worst amputations. His 2 legs have been amputated. On 12 July 2017, Peter left for school in the morning, but before noon, Peter was battling for his life. He was only 6 years when this life-threatening disaster struck him.
Madam, the castle could plenty fees in studies. And I'm call Nana so a trouble no crown. And I'm sim could discount. We call no number until Namsim Chomasa coffee, aquaje, and Timmy coffee and a carbon.
This happened at Ofensumase, a suburb of Ashanti. Peter owed the school only 3 cedis. Peter is now permanently disabled. He is young, but Peter is already feeling the cost of his accident.
First, Mayana, no one name down for Kobobo, dear Goloya Bibia. He said, dear, and Kobabia. Intimin swelling until Omunana until I'm intimin swelling until me and I have it.
He spent 8 months receiving care at the Konfonochi Teaching Hospital. Peter really needs psychological and therapeutic help at this stage. This is the point doctors into family medicine like Dr. Nakoka comes in.
We believe that the family is a key part, especially when you think about chronic things like rehabilitation, amputations and all. And we come in actually across all the sectors. We could be at the point of the acute care when the patient comes in immediately to the point of managing the patient.
Life is not easy for Peter's grandmother, the one he lives with. Auntie Esther, as she is popularly called, has still not recovered from that shock she had when she first saw Moses on the street battling for his life.
The mama rare when I say Accra, one need them. Na me hwese city aye smart man ko eba na de asem we se we nya nan ketekete kura me afa bia nsoso ama akura no eno de mamre ho tembi ano ka me stress aban ka akura no won fa no enhwe no ma won hwe akura no na ne nan no eni ni school semu da won hwe mu ahe na se de edin me hwe akura no a emi hunu de na jukura ya dakura na akura no beda no wode ne nsa wode hye na chiseyi ni woda na me hwe sa aka ni snipa no ya na me hunu de menye.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's that story, the fact that he's undergone some surgeries and he probably would have to undergo some more. Now, let's get into the conversation. We are joined by Seth Kwame Wating and Dr. John Apia. So I want to start, thank you to you both for making time to speak with us. And I want to start with you, Seth. What are we to expect this evening?
We are to expect stories from these children who have gone through these difficult times. We are to hear that of Moses and Peter. And Moses is the reason we did this documentary. He's the inspiration because it was his story I chanced on that made me go further and come up with this documentary. So the pain they are going through, the psychological impact of this on them, the effect on them. And for example, Moses is wondering how he could go back to school, and he's been asking the mom, so am I going to be in a wheelchair and go to school, knowing very well that in my school, I was an athlete, I led the school parade, and at church, I play the church drums. So he's been wondering how he's going to survive when he's discharged from the hospital. And it's painful. Then when we hear of Peter as well, and I got to know Peter through Dr. David. They worked on Peter, so he can tell you a lot about Peter and how they found Peter the first time that Peter was brought to Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, how this young boy, who was 6 years then, was sent home to collect 3 cedis as studies and preaching fee, got knocked down and was amputated. Both legs are gone. These are harrowing stories from these children in Israel.
Yes, so I'll come to you, Dr. Adebiapia. So tell us more how you, I'm sure you encounter lots of these children in your work. You tell us more about the stories.
Israel and the what has shocked me and what has made me cry throughout.
All right, I think Seth had some intervention, but Seth, please hold on. I actually want us to speak with Dr. Adebiapia on the stories, some of the stories that they encounter on a regular basis. Dr. Davy.
Yeah, thanks, and good morning, Israel. Thanks for having me here to discuss the issue of road traffic accidents in children. Steph is quite right. In fact, this is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg that we talk about and what is faced by and other health workers. In Peter's situation, I would say that he was actually blessed to have the system in place, and this system that we need to replicate all over the country that actually helped save him, because near where he had the accident, there was a well-trained emergency specialist who actually took over from him. So if you want me to describe actually what happened, then he was then quickly resuscitated and then referred to Konfanochi. We had orthopedic surgeons came to meet other specialists who were at the right also available, and then theater, which was well equipped to handle him. So eventually came to the pediatric intensive care unit in 2017. That was also in the early phase of the pediatric intensive unit in Ghana. But actually, this is how the system worked for Peter. So many children do not have that opportunity. Looking through the data from the pediatric intensive care unit at Konfanochi, the surgical cases, they actually admit to the unit. More than 1 in 5 of all surgical cases admitted to the unit actually as a result of road traffic accident. And here, when we talk about the intensive care, children who have had major organ damage like brain damage that requires that you provide them with support, organ support to allow their body to heal. And that without that life support machines and medications, these children do not make it. And as I said, this is just a few of those. But if you are looking at the bigger picture, in Ghana, more than 2,000 people actually lose their life every year as a result of road traffic accident. And out of this number, actually, almost 500 to 600 of them are children. If I put it vividly for you, you are looking at almost every 2 months, one commercial airline, like commercial airlines we have in Ghana, domestic airlines we have in Ghana, we have one of them crashing every full load of crashing every month. And I think putting it in this way, people understand. And I'm sure the outrage that people will actually come up with when we hear that every 2 months we have airplane crashing. But because it's not airplane crashing, but human life being lost one day at a time, we don't really see the magnitude of that. And this is a challenge that as a nation we need to face. According to WHO, almost every 4 minutes a child dies as a result of a road traffic accident. It doesn't end there. You were listening to the family of Peter lamenting on the challenges. At the end of Peter's stay, the huge bill that we encountered. Fortunately, the public supported the family, but in many cases that do not get to the public eye, you have bills ranging on average about 12,000 Ghana cedis per stay in the hospital, and ranges from 5 to 50,000 costs for these families. They leave the hospital in debt. It's quite distressing. And I also heard my colleague talking about the need for psychosocial support. And indeed, some even all those who provide care, those who receive the care, their family, and those who are providing care also need that psychosocial support as a result of the trauma they also face aside the primary injury.
Yeah, Dr. Adebiapia, you make the point about these children being victims in accidents and the bills that they leave the hospitals with. Unfortunately, often, or in some of these instances, the parents or the guardians of these children die, which also means that you can't actually bill the kids, and so you don't really have much of an option. Is there a way out?
Well, thanks very much. Per my personal experience in hospital and as an intensivist during this period, especially managing such cases, what we think must be done is that we need to have a system where all road traffic accident patients are actually identified, linked up with insurance companies who should quickly provide support for paying for their medical bills. National health insurance doesn't really cover intensive care unit. And most of patients, when they come to the hospital, either we don't have emergency medications available to support them. If even we do, just for 24 hours. And after 24 hours, the families will have to go around looking for resources. So it's a whole burden on the families who actually manage, who sit beside their kids, and then also extended family members who sit beside their kids in managing cases, looking for funding. That is one of those things, but that's one of the things that can be done. We need emergency fund for emergency medical care funding to provide care for such cases. Overall, we need actually a policy document, especially for children. We don't have such the little data information we have, or the document we have concerning national policy. Just a few pages cover actually children, and that, I think, is an indictment if we are talking about children being our future. If they are our future, I think they will rather come first, and then we think about the adults later on. That's my personal additions to that. But it calls for all of us to relook at how we finance medical care after road traffic accidents. One of the things I've thought about is that, road traffic accidents, most of the cars, now all the cars are insured. And I hope the National Insurance Commission will actually really look at how they support hospitals in strengthening health systems and also health financing to help address these issues. But there should be multi-sectorial engagement and then conversation about that.
All right, sure. And I want to bring in Seth at this moment. Seth, so Crash Young is more like a sequel to Crashed, the initial documentary that you put together. And in my personal conversations with you, when you were working on this documentary, you talked about how many of these children, when there's an accident, the parents or the guardians will die, and then the kids are left on their own. Where do these children end up?
So at times, it's difficult for relatives to even know that these children were with their parents and they got involved in an accident, and either the parents died or the child died or what's happening to them. At times, you get families here and come for these children, take care of them. At times, when it involves only children, and I said earlier that from this, I got to know that there are quite a number of children who have died through road traffic accident. Israel, presently, some are in the mortuary. Nobody knows that they have been hit and they were killed and they are in the mortuary. So at times we hear that a child has gone missing and we run an announcement on radio, on TV, parents looking for that child. They don't hear from them. They don't see them. At times you also hear from the police tell us that they are about doing mass burial. So if your child is missing, you can't find your child, and you've heard that the police is going to do mass burial, I would advise you, you better go to that mortuary and search, because there are children like that, and there are some who have been mass buried because no family member showed up and they were buried. And just to add on to what Dr. Debbie said about the cost, how they are struggling. I remember Moses, when I found Moses in May, he had been on admission for 3 months, and the mother had no way of finding money to pay his medical bills because the mother is poor, the mother is a farmer, she has 5 children to take care of, the husband is dead, and the woman is alone. So until I found Moses, I heard his story, and I first shared his story on Asempa FM, and it touched the heart of people. The mother had no idea where she was going to raise money for these surgeries that Moses had done. And this time, I must say a very big thing, and I must commend doctors at Konfonoche for taking care of the boy, even though the mother had difficulties paying for the bills. So when I went in, I shared a story. In 24 hours, I was able to raise, even without asking people to donate, I was able to raise some 40,000. So in 24 hours, I was able to rush back to Konfonoche and pay a medical bill of 35,000 and also got 5,000 pocket money for the woman. So these are real challenges and that these families are facing. And with Moses especially, he's on admission thinking of how the mother was going to find money and settle the bills, because every morning he sees people who have been discharged and he hears their bill. So, for example, one morning he asked the mother, "Ma'am, the guy next to me was discharged yesterday and his medical bill was 6,500 cedis. Ma'am, if we are asked to pay even 500 cedis, where are we going to find money and pay? Use that to pay." Wow. Then the mother said, "We will continue praying and God will send helpers our way." So these are real challenges that families are facing, and I think at this time that we had that emergency fund that Dr. David spoke about, so that we can use it to take care of, especially these children. Because when you go to the trauma and orthopedics ward now, there are people, including children, who have been discharged, but they cannot pay their bills, so they are being kept. They are occupying space which others need to occupy and be taken care of. So it's a real issue, Israel.
Yeah, indeed, it is a real issue. And even as we have these conversations, the whole idea is so that we can get to appeal to people, to get to appreciate the kind of havoc they are causing when they fail to comply with road regulations, or they refuse to. I mean, you're driving, you're on the speed limit, you're not maintaining your vehicles very well. Yeah. So, I mean, these are very worrying, I mean, statistics that Dr. Adebiapia was sharing with us.
Seth, you know, so we watched Crushed, which was the first part of this, not first part of this documentary, but which was the one that came on. And there were some really vivid images that, you know, stayed with us. Because sometimes we need to see the reality of the numbers. You know, sometimes talking about numbers is just numbers. In this one, are we going to see, you know, those kind of images again? And what kind of impact do you feel, especially after the first documentary, what kind of impact are you hoping that this will have, not just on the governments to support, on people to help, but people to actually be accountable and take responsibility for the way that they're driving?
So this very one, we have a few of the videos in this documentary as well, because we should not cover up. We have to let the world see what is happening. And anymore, per the statistics we have this year, it appears we are losing about 9 lives every day in Ghana. 9 lives every day. And if we look at the statistics from the Building and Road Research Institute on children, some work they did, they discovered that approximately we were losing 310 children every year in Ghana. So it's like taking a primary school, class 1 to class 6. Each class has 50 pupils. And in a year, we are losing all these from class 1 to class 6. That's how the picture is. That's the picture I'm painting. So this is an issue that I think today, when we get to watch, our policymakers will sit back and say, wow, if this is what is happening, what can we do? That is what I want to paint. Because there are some low-hanging fruits that we can do. We can activate to help. You know, there is a girl whose mother I featured in the documentary. Anymore, she was knocked down when she was going to school. The traffic light where she lived was working on the graphic road. That overhead bridge was working. By the time she was returning from school, it wasn't working. And as a child, she was alone. She didn't know. She crossed. She was knocked down. The first car ran over her. The second car ran over her. She died on the spot. Anymore, as we speak, that traffic light is still not working.
Wow.
And every morning you find scores of school children running as they cross this road. And the mother told me that it's not the first time, or that the daughter is not alone. It's not the only person who has been killed. A month after the daughter was killed, her daughter's friend was also knocked down right there and killed. I've also discovered that head porters are killed often, yet that traffic light is not working. And as that is the graphic road traffic light when you are descending there overhead. You see, but if we had fixed this, we can just imagine the number of lives we will be saving almost every week. So aside those who die, there are others who are getting injured every day. And this traffic light is still not working. So I want our policymakers to today sit down and ask themselves, what are we doing to ourselves? What are we doing to our future leaders? We claim we children are future leaders, but we are crushing them young, we are killing them young, and we are injuring them young, and it is worrying.
Right. Well, Seth, we hope that the impact will be felt across board. You know, as we watch this documentary tonight, it'll be airing tonight here on JoyNews. And we hope that it will make a difference. Let me just ask Dr. Pia one more question before we go. Doc, so I'm looking at, you know, all these children who have had this life-changing events. You know, they've gone from being boisterous and running around and all of that to, you know, some of them limbless, you know, and their lives have changed. How much effort are we going to put into psychologically supporting them so that they can reintegrate into school and live some semblance of a normal life? How much effort are we going to put into doing that?
That question. And I think that's part of what Pediatric Society is actually pushing for a holistic care. And in some facilities, we are able to provide that from the beginning, but not all facilities are able to do that. We actually pushing for more specialists to be trained to be able to handle that. We are actually also looking forward to, as Seth has already stated, that we take steps to prevent these preventable, all these are avoidable and preventable deaths. The Pediatric Society really think that we can do something about that. And for the mental health, as we need to have a system that is responsive to our way of doing things. We need more specialists to be trained. We need to make them available to support these children. We need to provide finance financial financing aspect also, because it costs money to pay to care for these kids when it comes to mental health and psychosocial support. Peter, for instance, that you are showing, I think he got it right from the very day that he had the accident, and then he actually became conscious a few days after that. And throughout his stay, he was receiving several visits by the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital psychology unit, and then the psychiatric team. So he actually got the best of care, and that's what I cited as an example. And we can reproduce this across the country. We have doctors who are ready to do this, but we need to ensure that the policymakers actually will have this. And the national policy on road traffic accidents, children must feature prominently in that, because they have no resources. They can't go around looking for funding for themselves. Someone must do it for them, and it's the nation that should do that for them. Thank you, Nova.
You speak so eloquently about the challenges we're having with the system, but my issue really is, yes, we know what needs to be done, but looking at our society and the system, do you have any hope that really we can make any difference?
Point doctors into family medicine.
I have hope. If I look at the health system, if I look at passion within the health sector, and again, society in general, we need to advocate. We need to provide the education. If we don't provide this information to the people, and we are stuck with just a few items on the news agenda daily, I mean, this will really not be on the Benson banner. We have to put it front of the oven, so that people are aware of what is happening. And education across board, Pediatric Society has taken it upon itself to engage key stakeholders like Ghana Education Service, Ghana Health Service, the police, law enforcement agencies, the media, to highlight these issues so that we will be able to at least make input into that. And if I see the response of the general public when these things go out, it means people are ready to receive education, receive us very well. But if we don't highlight it, if we don't educate and bring it up to the forefront, I don't think anyone will hear us. And it's up to you and me to take this up. I'm hoping that this is not going to be just after 1 month and then everything burns out, that you frequently help put this out and then get people on board. We need to train people right from school kids, get them in school into basic life support. There are a lot of things that we think can be done, first to prevent, two, to reduce morbidity and mortality in the country. And that's the position of Pediatric Society of Ghana.
I mean, we can continue talking about these things, but you also appreciate that there are myriad of issues that we have to bring to the fore. And we can't talk about accidents all the time. There are accidents, there's corruption, there's so many things that we have to deal with at the same time. And so at some point, we'll have to rest one and bring up the other. There's only so much time that we can give to all of the issues. You talk about the interventions that saved some of these young people. And look, how many, we're talking about the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. How many Konfanochi Teaching Hospitals do we have around? And so if it happens in some village somewhere or some town that doesn't have any of these things, it means the children are going to die. And yet it doesn't appear as if the system or the society is willing to actually take care of some of these concerns. Anyone was bringing up the issue about mental health, and we're looking at a system where, who's taking care of mental health? Nobody seems to care about it. How much budget is devoted to that sector? How much budget is devoted to social services? So yes, we can talk about these things, but if we don't have the system supporting it, we can talk about it all we want. Nothing is going to happen, which is why I feel sometimes we're in a very bad situation. Is there anything? And you know, often when these things happen, the general public will come in to support. But how many times can you have the general public support these things? It sometimes appears to be really desperate for us as a people, and I'm worried.
Yeah, I understand your concerns and I understand your worry and the frustration that in your voice. I mean, I can sense the frustration in your voice. But remember, some of us, I am at the some of us who actually have also come across this in the in our practice will attest to the fact that we don't have to give up. We don't have to lose hope. And personally, the personal engagement that I have had, especially during Peter's experience with the media, tells me that even the little information that can be put out by the media actually goes a long way to help. It awakens the interest of the public in the subject. We cannot quantify how much this short 30-minute segment that we are doing can bring the discussion to the forefront. And that is what I'm talking about. The value, we cannot put monetary value on it, all right? But this engagement actually is really making, to me, will make an indent in impression on the minds of the health policymakers, who I'm sure will be able to look at the system and address it. Yes, mental health issues have, but it doesn't mean that we cannot use the little resources we have. We cannot grow from where we are. I'm still optimistic that we can make a head. We do not have to fold our hands in front, in between our thighs and our thighs and say we cannot do anything about that. We have to be passionate about that. We need to move forward. We need to take a step, if even it's one step at a time. If even we have to crawl, let's crawl, but by all means, let's move. By all means, let's do something. We cannot sit and not do anything. And we will continue to push. Some of the non-government, Pediatric Society is a non-governmental organization made up of child healthcare experts, doctors and nurses mainly. But we also have teachers on board and other parents. A few parents are also on board with us. But this is the channel we have used. And we all can do something. It's not only one individual, one organization, one society. We all have a role to play. And if we play our role well, I think that the society will change. The society just need a few pace setters, those who would really project the good practices. And that good practices will begin to reflect with time.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dr. John Adebi Apia. He's the president of the Pediatric Society of Ghana. But just before we end this conversation, of course, we must speak to the Ghana Police Service because they are at the forefront of this fight. And joining us on the phone lines, Superintendent Alex Obing from the Public Affairs Directorate of the Ghana Police Service. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
It's good to speak to you once again. And, you know, this is a thing, though. Year on, we've had this conversation. I can't remember the number of times I have had a conversation with you about road traffic accidents, about the figures, and yet the numbers are going up. Why is it not getting better?
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think the road safety problem that confronts the world and also Ghana is perplexing and has an inadequate solution. And therefore, I'm not surprised there are countless action plans that seek to mobilize the societal resources in order to combat it, because it's an area-wide, multi-agency, and very intricate kind of thing. And therefore, it is always important that countries will focus on the interventions and invest in it and ensure that they are sustained. And if you look at him, it's obvious that.
Okay, his line has dropped. That was Superintendent Leslie, especially at traffic lights, people not stopping, motorbikes crossing. So anyways, Superintendent Alex Obeng is back. So hopefully he can just continue for us where he left off.
All right. So and our case is not different from elsewhere because these three factors that are combining to cause these crashes, i.e. the road, the vehicle, and in particular, the human behavior manifesting itself in many of these crashes in a way that these crashes are happening, which are preventable, but because of the fact that our attitude and behavior are inimical and undermining the safety protocols and intervention are the very problems that is fueling these crashes. And no surprise that there's much advocacy these days in terms of improvement so far as the roads are concerned, in terms of vehicle safety, and in particular, road safety sensitization, publicity, and awareness creation, and of course, intensified traffic enforcement. And until we get these things and the specifics right, and direct investment accordingly and effort, I'm afraid with the emergence of motorcycle as a lead road user class killer, we are likely to see worse. And I hope and pray that all hands will be on deck, and always all of us will be road safety activity-based oriented. Otherwise, it's getting scary.
Superintendent Obeng, this is Israel, and you talk about enforcement. And my question to you is, what stops the police from going ahead to enforce? Because for a long time, you in particular have been in charge of education and trying to sensitize the public. But at some point, we need to really enforce. We need to make it clear to people that when they jump the traffic light, they will be made to pay for that. I mean, they will be severely sanctioned. If we're doing a lot more of that, that also tends to deter people. So why aren't we doing so much more of that?
I think you are good point. I think you are aware, for example, with said earlier crash documentary, it became clear to us that the kind of behavior that motorcycle riders are putting up on our road is beyond imagination. People thought that, I did not be in that documentary, people thought that, people were buying what the motor riders were saying, that because they are afraid that police will arrest them. That's why when they get to red light, they don't stop. But the pictures we saw taught us clearly that no, that even before he's approaching, he's already on top speed, and they were crashing and killing themselves without even police presence. And you watch the video, live feed. And it's a problem when you are dealing with behavior that, and I'm not surprised in Ghana. We also are looking at sensitization. But for us, the period under review, if you look at the data carefully, you observe that compared with the same period last year, we have made over 2,500 arrests, including what you just mentioned. And out of that, over 2,000 have been convicted. And the rest who were convicted, about 11 were the court put them in jail as a deterrent, and the rest, the court has slapped over 1 million Ghana cedis on them as court fines. We hope that we also deter others. However, we also know that some of the incidents that are happening at the blind side and on highway. For example, over the weekend on the N6 at Jasso. I don't know whether you have watched the scene prior to the crash. Somebody tried to overtake in column on town highway and trying to overtake mini commercial bus and loaded articulated truck on a single carriage in town. And the saloon frontally hit a high occupancy bus, Accra bound, that had right of way. And in the end, we lost many lives and injured persons. Obviously.
Superintendent Obeng, yes. I appreciate all of that. One final question to you is, when can we expect that the police will step up enforcement? Because probably we're not enforcing enough.
I think that in the coming days you will see, but I will also think that we don't only want to look at road safety in terms of police deployed on the road. We also look at it in terms of changing systems. And for us, we have plans afoot in order to monitor and to look out and then follow up and arrest. Because currently they are developing a traffic monitoring back office to handle that. However, we think that we need to do more than that. And that's why on our highways and all that, others are advocating for dualization. Others are also advocating for removal of obstruction. And others are also advocating for the way and manner that the use of motorcycle have to be re-engineered, because currently the crashes that are happening, 800 die. We observe that about 47 will always be attributed to motorcycle-related injuries.
All right.
And I think that all these should guide as far as police also putting proactive measures to intensify its enforcement.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Alex Obeng. He's with the Public Affairs Director of the Ghana Police Service, and we're hoping, as you're saying, that in the coming days we're going to be seeing a lot more of the enforcement that you're talking about. You're watching the AM show. We're taking a break. We have more coming as you stay tuned in. JoyNews discovered him out there on the streets, and well, he has been taken into a foster home and he's being cared for now. But what touched me, as I indicated about his story, is that when we're trying to get him off the streets, he said the mother also had to be taken care of. Now, we're joined also by John Nyavo, who's a foster parent. And then we have Samuel Anaglate, Head Foster Care Services Unit Department of the Social Welfare Department. So thank you all for joining us. And John Nyavo.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So now I want to start with you. How are you doing? How are you? Fine. What's it been like so far at the where you're being kept?
Fine here.
How are you enjoying your place? You're enjoying it?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us a bit, but you have to speak up, okay? Because we can hardly hear you. We want to hear, everybody out there wants to listen to your story. So you'd have to speak up, you know, or do you prefer to speak in a particular language? Which language are you comfortable in speaking?
Speak.
Which language you see?
We speak English at home.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I know you can speak Twi too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inti if you na sisi utimo no. Who ne saying? Kama. Can we be efa ho say what is saying? Say nia ukoye we duane we di ni ade ete saying.
We did my bika.
We say
We did my bebreka.
Who did he make bebreka? Because if you are near the door, so my door. We need Jadran who so on.
No.
We need Jadran who. Because they're fine. I don't pay a day now, dear.
Family tea.
Tea, any day.
Any Kusiana bread.
Eish! That would ease you. Right, so I was just asking Opambo what he's had for breakfast today, and he tells me he's had tea with bread and eggs, fried eggs.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, John, tell us how's he doing?
He's good. When he came the very first day, he was accompanied by social welfare and the police and Joy FM staff, and so that very day, meeting other children in the home, he was relaxed, and after they've gone, he has become fine and he's doing well. He's doing so well. Yes, you wouldn't think that he's very new to the home. At a point of time, I tried to find out like, will you want to go back to where you wanted to go earlier? And he said no, he prefers staying with me, and so yeah, he's doing well, and yeah, he's doing well. Yeah.
So, Ebenezer, tell us about how you got to Accra in the first place with your mom. How old are you, by the way?
10 years old.
10 years old. Yeah, so how did you come to Accra with your mom?
My mom said, come on, collect the work.
You saying?
She said, come on, collect the work.
Okay, so where do you come from originally? Which part of Ghana do you come from?
For the circle.
No, before Circle. Where did you come from to get to Circle?
Before circle, you go to the TV Africa, Avino.
Okay. Before Mufi, Ekru Ben Sona Mufi.
Fi Kumasi.
Ufi Kumasi. Kumasi Ehefa.
Doso.
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 Yes. Okay. Enti Emra One. So I just asked him where he's coming from. He says he comes from Kumasi.
For the Kumasi na mam kotena BA.
Ufi Hefa.
Kumasi. Na mam kotena BA.
Ufi Kumasi na mokotena BA.
Na mam kotena BA.
Una nanum. Okay. Enti Ehefa enti mufi BA na moba Accra no. Emra o mame eba ene wo ba Accra no. Na okach eden no okachire o.
Oso a pepper.
Ose?
Oso a pepper jumaye.
O be pay jumaye. Okay. Inti enu nti na mo fi BA na mo fi Kumasi na mo ba. BA na mo ba. So he tells me when they were leaving BA to come to Accra, the mother said she was coming to find a job, look for a job. So into be do Accra na edien is here.
Start second. First na buy na koi.
Just say emru obi ene de na uni how bia.
first one, you can buy every year. No, my call and finish so.
Moko him fa moko be back.
Yes, I'm buying iron.
Inti muba first time na or babe page mano. So he tells me that the mother became unwell mentally the first time they came to Accra from BA, and then they had to go back to BA, and then she became well, and then they came back to Accra. You came back to Accra, yes. And then it happened again. Yes. But I want to understand. So when you came to Accra, where were you living? The first time when you came to Accra, did you come to a relative? Mubetsina ibusini bi hono mana.
No, circle.
Chese mu fi Accra no, mutna bus ni mu edebedu Accra no. Na mukotna circle hono ma. Na mu ni ibusini bia o hasi amoba betena ne nche. So he tells me they came from BA and they got to Accra, they got to Circle, and then you just decided to settle at Circle. They didn't have any relatives here in Accra, but so it's a bit difficult trying to have this conversation with a boy who's 10 years old and inquiring why the mother brought them both to Accra. Because some of the questions I really can't ask this boy. But it just goes to show the challenges we have with our system. Let me get onto the phone lines and speak with the head of the Foster Care Services Unit, Department of Social Welfare. It's actually on Zoom, Samuel Anaglate. Thank you very much, Mr. Anaglate, for making time to speak with us. But I'm sure you've been following the story of Ebenezer Opambo and how he was picked up from the streets. I want to understand, what sort of support do you have for people like Ebenezer Opambo who are out there on the streets?
Hello?
Yes, Samuel, we can hear you.
You can hear me, okay. All right, so basically what I can say is that every child needs to grow up in a home, and it's always better that children grow up in a home. Even in the institutions, we are even shifting from institutional care to family-based care options. And so people like Ebenezer Opambo, I will use him as a typical example. As he was rescued, we provided foster care services to him. We started with residential care where we'll be preparing a foster parent for him to go into. So if there's anything that gets a child off a biological family or the home and it's on the street, the option is to find an alternative care. And for the alternative care, we mean other care options apart from the biological family. So somebody like Ebenezer Opambo, the option is to get him into a home where he will grow with a mother and a father like any other child, because those are their basic rights.
Now, Samuel, I'm sure you're aware that there are lots of these children out there on the streets. If you get to the traffic lights, you see boys standing and wanting to clean your car windscreens and all of that. I'm sure you'd have seen them. Don't you have a plan, or are you not supposed to, the social welfare department, go out there and actively seek out these people, take them off the streets and find them some care?
Yes, that is true. It's a project that is ongoing. As you may be aware, the former minister, Honorable Morrison, carried out a project at some point, Operation Get the Children Off the Street. And that project is still ongoing. Social welfare officers are actively involved in that. But I will also state that streetism is not entirely a social welfare thing. It's the district assembly project. The social welfare officers will just advise and assist in getting the children off the streets.
But that is a very big topic to talk about, and I think we'll have to find a better time.
No,
to
you see, but
digest
that
this
is,
citizen project.
we have an opportunity now to talk about it, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Because often we want to sweep these things under the rug. But look, there are lots of these children out there, and you're saying that John is just nodding. John, tell us, I mean, let Samuel know. Maybe he's not appreciating it, but you let him know what the situation is like out there.
Okay. Actually, me myself, I started a program trying to talk to some children at Carnage Market, and I can tell you that there are many of them, and there are even some young girl who gave birth being on the street. So we started with them. We try. We put some in the home, but we realized that their life seems to be a little different. Why am I saying this? Because they know a lot. They know a lot living on the street. So taking them from
They've come to pick up so many experiences that makes it difficult for them to integrate.
Yes. So
there are no more children.
They are no more. They know a lot. So picking them from the streets and place them in a home is very difficult. So at my side, that's why I started building a place, so that would be very different from the normal place. So we put them there and we rehabilitate them, and then that will work. Other than that, there are many.
All right.
Social welfare is aware that there are
Samuel.
Yes, I'm here.
Samuel, so as John is saying, you apparently, I'm sure, are aware that there are many of these children out there. And you say there's a project ongoing to try and get the children off the streets. Can we say, or can you confidently put it out like right now, that instead of you maybe, it's a challenge having to go around looking for all these children out there, can people look for these children and bring them to you?
In fact, that can also be done, like this boy that we are working on now. Okay, so let me just say something very little about this streetism thing. The truth is that to get a child from the street is not an easy one. I think Manuel will bear us witness. Getting this very little boy off the street with a mother that is mentally challenged. He will tell you the struggle that we went through and everything that went into getting this thing done. There are factors that get the children onto the street. That is the push and then the pull factors. The push factors are things that are in the homes which are not conducive for the children, in quote. We can say it could be abuse, it could be poverty, it could be anything that gets children off the house to the streets. And then the pull factors are the things that are pulling the children from wherever they are onto the streets. There could be drug, it could be money, it could be freedom, as you may call it. Now, to get one child off the street, so we can use this boy's case, for example. Now we have him. We have decided to work on the mother. That makes the number 2. Because we want to rescue just one child. We have added the mother to it, which makes the number 2. There is something that got them to live where they were before they got to the streets. And that is what we are investigating now. You'll be surprised that by the time we are done, we would have included about 10 extra people just rescuing one child. So you see how complicated the whole issue is. And when it happens like that, you should make sure you solve all the problems, everything that is not going well at home before the child got onto the street. So removing one child from the street into a home, it's not an easy job. It is capital intensive. It is everything you can think about. And so that is why it looks like the process is a bit slow, but there are a lot that is being done. And we need a support of not only the government, but everybody as well. Because as we speak now, we have been able to move this boy. Currently, the boy is in institutional care. We are preparing foster care for the child to be placed in care, where somebody will take this boy in and then live with the boy as the person will live with his own biological child. That is if we don't get a family member who is willing to accept the boy in, because the kinship care is a most preferred option to foster care. So if we don't get somebody a family member who can take care of the boy immediately, then we consider foster care. Now, these foster carers, we are still recruiting them. We don't have enough, and so a boy like this boy we're talking about. This is the thing. When there's home manager was speaking, he said the children came to the home and looked like they were very different from the children that they already have. In fact, that is one reason we sent this boy to the home. If it was a child that would just pick from a family because of abuse and then sent taken out of the family, we could have gotten a foster family who immediately would have assisted. But now, if you are getting these children from the street who already know everything, okay, you take them to the residential home whilst you prepare them to go home. Before you go back, they have scaled the walls and have run away. And the foster parent who is also prepared to assist this child, you go and give this child to the foster parent, and they are creating problems for the foster parent. This is a case where we have a foster care system, which is very unique because the foster parents are the ones going to use their resources in caring for the children. And so you go and give a child to somebody who has owned up and said, let me assist governments by taking care of vulnerable children. And then the child comes home, and by the time the foster parent wakes up, the child has eloped with her money or his or her money or belongings of the person. You think this person will again up to take care of vulnerable children again? So usually these are the challenges. But institutional care is not as easy as we see it to be. There are a lot beneath it that we can't see. We can't see with our eye. And so this is what I can say about it.
Ms. Anaglate, all right, so I want us to do something here. What would you advise people who come across people like Opambo?
So the law makes it clear. When you see a child that you think the child needs care and protection, you first of all report to the social worker or the police. If he gets to the police, it will get to the social welfare office. Like your reporter did, he called the social welfare office. When it got to the time that we needed the police, we involved the police, and the boy was rescued.
All right.
So
is there a number that people can call to get to social welfare?
Yes, there is how do you call it? A call center at the ministry, which is 0800. Okay, I'll have to correct it.
Okay, if you don't have it immediately, because I want us to do something so that we put out the number. If people have issues, they call, and then they're expecting that something will happen. Are you sure that something will happen if they call that number?
Yes, I mean, the typical example is Manuel called me and something has happened.
Manuel called you directly?
Yes.
Not that 0800 number.
If the person calls that number, it will definitely get to us, because this is what the call center does. When they receive the call, they channel the call to the appropriate offices. So when they call, something will definitely happen.
So So a call comes through, somebody answers, and then what happens?
So somebody answers, the person takes the complaint, and then possibly gets the contact of the one who called, because we may need some more information. And then calls. So this is what happened. If it has to do with child protection, okay, the Child and Family Welfare Division at the Department of Social Welfare will be contacted. And if the issue is happening outside of Accra, even if it's in Accra, we'll call the regional office, and then the head office will give the technical backstopping. If it happens in any region, we'll call the region where the issue is happening, and then the region will move to assist. Right. Usually that is what happens.
Ms. Anaglate,
there are district offices, social welfare offices in every district in the country. And so when these things happen, we contact the district office exactly where the issue is happening for the district social welfare officer to move to do the rescue.
So to do the rescue, I'd expect that you have some vehicles lined up, so then you move to go and do the rescue, or you're going to go in a taxi or trotro?
this is a okay. So I can't say there are some vehicles lined up. Social welfare. In fact, I can just say we'll definitely get there. We may not come in a vehicle. Sometimes may come in a taxi or in a trotro. Sometimes we may even come in our own private cars.
Mr. Anaglache, I want you to get us that number, the 0800 number that you're talking about, because we're going to put out that number. So I'll excuse you to get us the number, and then I'll come back to the studio and speak with John. So John, okay. I'm having this conversation with Mr. Anaglache, and I appreciate the challenges that they're going through. For instance, he's saying that, well, they will definitely get there. I know sometimes they never get there because really they may not have a vehicle, or they may not be in a position to help. What is your experience? What sort of experience have you had with the social welfare system in Ghana?
I think they are trying their best, but to be frank, they will tell you the resources are not there. That's what they will tell you. And sometimes social welfare may even want you to help them do the thing because they don't have it.
How do they expect you to help?
Like, for example, the rescue issue. They don't have vehicle, you have it. They will want you to use your vehicle to help them. Yeah, so because they don't have it. And it is very difficult. Nobody among them is willing to say anything for the system or the things to change. Yeah, so
because it has been like that for a long time.
Yes, for a long time. Yeah.
I want to come to you, Ebenezer. Awardeo. We okay? Okay. Edien ina obepese aban ebeye ama wo eni emra wo overhead na se no se nkwala bi a omotese wo hia nkwala bi omotese wo nti unya ndamfofo mu bate na oni omonante nti na wo ne hwan na nante
Ntitri.
Wo say
Omo ntitri omo ya Ghana fo ntino.
Okay. Omuntichi. All right, so he's making reference to some kids that he tends to, well, he encountered, but he says they don't speak, they're not Ghanaians.
Yes.
All right. But unyaya anka edien na aban wo ni dasuo bi se aban betumi aye bibia aboa wo edien na be o sha e wo se aban eye de boa wo
Asaka metimi ko school and that metimi pakasi
but say ube ko school a na che se e wo se utifie but wo overhead na se a untumi ko school. So he says he would have wished that he would be in school, and I pointed out to him that he couldn't have done that if he is under the overhead second and is homeless. So I would want to go back to Samuel. Hopefully he has the phone number for us. Hello, Samuel. Do you have the number now?
Yes, I do.
All right. So okay. please share the number.
It is 0800 800 800.
0800 800 800. So let's put the number on the screen. Please hold on. Let's put that number on the screen. 0800 800 800.
800. Yes, and then the 0800 900 900.
So 0800 900 900. So these are the two numbers that typically if you call, you should reach the social welfare department. And as we've heard Samuel say, someone is going to answer And if you come across any child, or if you have, what are the complaints you'd expect or reasons you'd expect people to call these numbers, Samuel?
So you find a child loitering and you are not sure if that child is moving with or is accompanied by an adult, or you think the child is not safe, you can call. Or you think you see somebody is abusing his own child. It could be physical abuse. There are a lot of times people defile children, and because the person involved is a big person or is somebody who is assisting the family, nobody reports. So anything that you think puts the child on in a bad way, you can call the number and then make your complaint.
And then the other bit, which is very glaring, the young boys who are standing by the traffic lights and cleaning people's windscreens and all. You're saying that you're going to go for them?
Yes. So the street children project is still on course.
When are you going? When do we expect those kids to be taking off the street? Especially those at the traffic lights.
It's a project which is on course, and like I explained to you, it's not a project that you can just get up one day and do, because if it's just about moving the children from the streets, I think you would have finished with them. But you have to take care of whatever.
If you move them, where are you sending them to? That's one question I'd want to ask.
And so that is it. If
do you have a place to send them to?
We have shelters where we send some of these children to. And like this, the gentleman in the studio said, they assisted the department in getting some of them to their orphanages. So when the need arises, we'll fall on some of these residential homes to send these children to them whilst we prepare their homes for them to move to finally.
Mr. Naglate, I'm going to say what I perceive to be what we have as our social welfare system, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I get the sense that we have a number of social workers who will get paid their salaries every month, government, no doubt about that. But then the logistics they need to do their jobs are unavailable. And so they're essentially helpless. Is that the case?
To some extent, I would say yes, because you can't say we don't have any logistics at all. At least even salaries that we receive is some kind of motivation to work. And then if you come to social welfare, it's not that there is no vehicle at all for us to work with. There are vehicles, and then we even have an office space to work in.
All right.
But all I can say is that whatever we have to work with, it's just so not adequate.
All right.
And that is what gives us the challenge sometimes.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Nagalate. Samuel Nagalate is head Foster Care Services Unit, Department of Social Welfare. And I'll come to you. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, but thank you very much to you both for coming. We'll speak with you after the show. There's a lot more we have to talk about. And thank you very much, Samuel Pambo, for joining us. That'll be it for the show this morning. I'm Israelai. I've been doing this with Enimu Enimado. It's been a very depressing morning for me, actually. But we're not going to lose hope. We're going to continue to have these conversations until something happens. Thank you very much for watching the AM show. You have a wonderful day.